As most of you know, sometimes I'll put up something about the Constitution, about law and different things like that. And what got me started was in 1980. I had gotten divorced and I had 3 kids, and my buddy had gotten divorced and 3 kids. During his stay at home, before he got the kids, he had some problems with his wife. He worked 2nd and 3rd shift all the time. She was running around on him. He come home with a bunch of beer cans, and he went in the house. This is 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. His wife's dressed very provocative, and they get into an argument. And she slaps him, and he pushes her down on the couch. He goes to bed. She leaves. Wakes up the next day, no kids, no wife, gone. Wife finds him later, and he gets the kids. So anyway, he goes to court. It was kind of a stacked deck if he'd kept his mouth shut when he was in the lawyer's office, because he said he wanted to sue the police department and the newspaper and so on. But he wanted a jury trial, so he never got to say a damn thing. He just said, he was not guilty. And they set up a jury trial, and he went in expecting to have the jury trial, and they didn't have it. He didn't know beforehand that his wife had already dropped all the charges. But the state wanted to pick it up so they didn't get sued. So he sat there and they said, well, yeah, you can keep your guns and all this good stuff and just plead no contest. That way you can get on with your life, so on and so forth. So he pleaded no contest in 1980. 1981, he received full custody of his kids. After the psychiatrist test said the wife was not fit for raising children, and he went on with life. So he went to gun stores, just like he always did. Never had any problems. There was no restrictions on him getting firearms from 1980, until 1996. Now all this time, nobody ever said, well, it's against the law. They never denied him when he went to sign all the papers at the gun stores. So anyway, 1996 came along. They passed that Lautenberg Act, and that supposedly, domestic violence, against women, so on and so forth. Well, that never really happened. But when my buddy went in '97 to buy a handgun or a rifle or something, he was denied. They did a background check and, oh, you've been deemed, a risk. Not hardly. But anyway. Here's the thing. Now, all those people before 1996, all the way back to the 1900s, if this law was true like they say, you can't have firearms, you can't have ammunition, well then why didn't they contact all those people who supposedly were convicted of domestic violence? Why didn't they go confiscate the firearms? Because it's ex post facto law if they try to go after the firearms. They know that. That's why they didn't do it. Then to deny someone who had all these rights before 1996 to go ahead and say, well, hey, you can't have firearms. That's another ex post facto law. They are breaking the law. Any law that conflicts with the Constitution is null and void. Now my buddy didn't fight this, and he should have. But he didn't have the money, he was raising kids, and, he just let it drop. But he shouldn't have. None of us should. So I tried to get hold of the Guns of America to pick this up, because they could get that domestic violence law gone. Because it's an ex post facto law. Ex post facto is anything that retroactively changes everything. This law goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. That's against the law. You cannot pass a law after the occurrence of a fact or an occurrence of a crime and make everybody a criminal. It's like, well, Joe Biden was chewing bubble gum in kindergarten, so he shouldn't be allowed to be a congressman, and he shouldn't be allowed to be any public official whatsoever. He was a felon. He chewed bubble gum in kindergarten. Oh, well, I guess they don't look into the juvenile facts, do they? But anyway, this law, this so-called domestic violence law, it's null and void. Guns of America, if they need to stick a feather in their hat, that's what they should do. They should pursue this. That's what like I said, I wouldn't have got into it, but when I seen what my buddy was going through, that pissed me off. So I started studying the law, started to study the Constitution, and the more you read it, you think laws are laws, they're legitimate. That is not legitimate. You cannot take away somebody's rights that they had before this and just yank them away. You can't change your mind in midstream. It's an unjust law, it's an unconstitutional law, and it needs to be taken off the books and all the stuff that goes with it. The stuff that they put in the 1968 law, the stuff that they put in the codes and statutes, it needs to be stricken, removed, like it was never written. Okay, that's enough for today, and thanks for watching.